Hello trader, welcome back to another weekly forex forecast. After the past week's FOMC, we can see the market has made significant movement, especially on gold and USD pairs. Now this week, as we can see, also coming up quite a few high impact news on British pound US dollar, AUD USD will be the primary focus along with gold. With this movement this week, we can expect significant trading opportunity. So in this weekly forex forecast, I'm going to look at DXY, euro dollar, British pound US dollar, AUD USD, dollar CAD, XAUSD, dollar yen, and GBP JPY. So before I begin this weekly forex forecast, make sure guys you give a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't done yet. So without further delay, let's get started this week's weekly forex forecast. Okay data, so as usual we'll be starting with first of all DXY. Let's see what kind of trading opportunity we have, starting with the monthly chart to see overall direction in this market. Now DXY, we can see that after back-to-back 4 months of bearish move past month, the market has dropped below this monthly support. The candle closed below this level, and this month we have seen initial primary pullback and then bounce back from this monthly support level with a long wick at the top. And at the moment we can see the market is potentially in a bull move, but I think that at some point we could see potential another retest of this monthly support level on DXY, and with that monthly support we can expect for the price to retest and then potentially bounce back up again to create a new higher high. So looking at the weekly chart here, we can see that back-to-back 3 weeks narrow doji formation. If we look at this market structure from the weekly, we can see that there was a huge impulse from the weekly to this weekly support level, followed by 3 weeks of pullback in that area, expecting DXY potentially to drop again here, as the market has done enough pullback with a smaller movement, expecting DXY to move up to grab liquidity and potentially to drop again in the major direction of the trend. So looking at daily chart here on DXY, we can see that from the daily, this last day of trading week, a narrow red candle formation, expecting DXY, what I think that this week initially to bounce here to grab liquidity, and what I think that this week we might see initial liquidity grab and then to potentially trend back down to this support level from the long-term picture. Now looking at the 4-hour chart on DXY, what we can see that in this lower time frame, this is where there is an uptrending market structure on DXY, and with that uptrend, expecting for this market potentially to go back up to create a new higher high, and then what I think that the price may drop again as the long-term trend in this market down, and there is a liquidity zone here from the intraday perspective. There is a narrow doji with a gap open, which is a high liquidity zone. As the market is approaching that level, that could be the zone that DXY might form double top or any kind of bearish price action to drop back down. This could be the wave for the upcoming week potentially, as 3 weeks of pullback then give this market potential for further drop again this week on DXY. Now as euro dollar is just a mirror of DXY, now let's look at euro dollar. Let's see what kind of trading opportunity we might have in this upcoming week, looking at monthly chart to see overall picture in this market. So looking at monthly, we can see that this month so far euro dollar, after this huge long week candle on the monthly, the price has crossed this monthly high, and with that monthly resistance break on euro dollar, the price so far from this monthly resistance has dropped well below. What I think that now after a retest we could see potentially bouncing back up to retest this monthly resistance or even potentially try to fill that monthly long wick. As we have seen, there was a huge bullish price action. We could see the bulls will try to break that high again from the monthly. If we look at the weekly chart here, we can see that it's a typical bullish market structure. From here, this is the weekly impulse followed by this narrow correction, and we can see another movement followed by, we can see the 3 weeks of pullback here. And what we can see that here, this is the last week's back-to-back 3 weeks of pullback on euro dollar, expecting for this market potentially to bounce back up to create a new higher high. So any drop here can give euro dollar to potentially push back to the upside. Now if we look at the daily chart here on euro dollar, we can see that from the daily where the market is from this support level, what I think that as long-term trend is up, we saw there was a long consolidation. The price has broken this support level. That could give another potential for euro dollar to potentially bounce back up to the monthly resistance line. Now for our chart here, locally it is trending down, and there is an important support level here with this doji, which is high liquidity zone. And I think that euro dollar in the beginning of the week potentially could trend back down, and that could be the wave for the upcoming week on euro dollar. So therefore the bias still could be bullish on euro USD. Now let's look at GBP USD. Let's see what kind of trading opportunity we have looking at monthly chart. Now from the monthly, we can see that GBP USD for back-to-back 3 months, the market is in a very strong bullish impulse on GBP USD, and this is the monthly support level here. We can see the price initially tested that low and has got a bounce here. Now with that bounce, expecting GBP USD potentially move back up to fill that long wick and potentially to create a new higher high. If we look at the weekly chart here on GBP USD, we can see that this is a long-term bull market. There is a big bounce followed by back-to-back 3 weeks long wick candle formation on GBP USD. Last week we saw a bullish engulfer here. It is an important support level here on GBP USD. What we can expect in this market for the price to potentially test this level, and what I think it might grab more liquidity as it is a strongly bull market. The bias still could remain bullish in this instrument. Now if we look at the daily chart here on GBP USD, we can see that from the daily, this is an important daily support level here, expecting GBP USD potentially to retest, grab liquidity, and then to bounce back up to create a new higher high in this market. Now looking at the 4-hour chart here on GBP USD, we can see that in this lower time frame, this is a significant level of support here, resistance here, and also support here, expecting GBP USD potentially to retest, either to form a double bottom or inverted head and shoulder can give this instrument for further potential upside in GBP USD. So as soon as we will find suitable entry on GBP USD along this area, we will be looking for going long with a high probability trade setup. Now let's look at AUD USD. Let's see what kind of trading opportunity we might have. Looking at monthly on AUD USD, we can see that from the monthly, previous monthly price action was a sharp rejection from this monthly support level. Now this month's AUD USD, initially as soon as the market opened, we have seen a bounce here, and with that bounce, expecting AUD USD to potentially push back to the upside, as previous monthly price action was a very strong bullish market, expecting it to keep pushing back to the upside. Now looking at the weekly chart here on AUD USD, we can see that from the weekly, this is the weekly impulse followed by there is a last week a long week candle, expecting AUD USD potentially drop here to retest and then to bounce back up to the major direction of the trend. Now if we look at this weekly price action, we can see series of higher low formation every week, which is in fact a bull market. Therefore any break of this structure is an opportunity for us to go long on AUD USD. Now looking at daily chart here on EURUSD, we can see that from the daily perspective, this is the daily bullish market structure in that area, and this is an important level of trend line, expecting EURUSD potentially to retest and then to revert back again in the major direction of the trend. Now EURUSD, we can see already it is an established uptrending market structure, creating series of higher high and higher low. What we can expect here on EURUSD for the market to retest and then to revert back again in the major direction of the trend. This is where, as soon as we will find suitable entry on EURUSD, we'll be looking for going long with a high probability trade setup. Now let's look at dollar CAD. Let's see what kind of trading opportunity we have in this instrument. Looking at monthly chart on dollar CAD, we can see that from the monthly, this is monthly bull market at the moment, and what we have seen that after quite a few months, there was a big move followed by a sharp drop to the monthly support level. Now this current monthly candle, the price has crossed that low, grabbed the liquidity, and we can see that it has another push back to the upside on the monthly chart. Now looking at weekly, where we can see that from the weekly chart, back to back 3 weeks narrow doji, followed by last week a bullish movement from this support level. What we can expect here in this market for the price potentially to move back up again to the resistance line, and what I think that on dollar CAD for the price to go up, grab liquidity, and then potentially to drop back down again in the major direction of the trend. Now if we look at the daily chart, here is the daily move, and this daily price action that we can see break against the trend, and the price is approaching a key level here, which is the daily resistance line, which is also resistance here, support here, and also resistance here on dollar CAD. Expecting what I think that with the market open, we might see another push back to the upside, grab the liquidity, and then to drop back again in the major direction of the trend. Now looking at 4-hour chart here on dollar CAD, what we can expect is that the market to potentially bounce, grab liquidity, and then to trend back down again in the major direction. This is where on dollar CAD, as soon as we will find suitable entry, we will be looking for going short from that low zone after price action confirmation with a high probability trade setup. Now let's look at XAU/USD. Let's see what kind of trading opportunity we have on gold. Now looking at monthly chart, we can see that from the monthly, this is the monthly price action where there is a monthly impulse, and this is a long-term bull market. You guys have seen that already, quite a few analyses. There was an inverted head and shoulder and a strong breakout with pullback and another impulse, deeper pullback. And what we can see here, that monthly another impulsive phase. Now here what we can see from the monthly, that this is the monthly price action. So far the price has tested this low, tested this high, and here is the monthly support. And what I think that this month, as this market is still showing bullish, long-term picture could still be bullish, as what is going up is likely to go up. Now looking at the weekly chart here on XAU/USD, we can see that from the weekly, this is strongly currently bull market. Last week we saw a bullish engulfer formation from the weekly, and this weekly candle here also created series of lower high and also series of higher low, which is a potential for this week the price potentially to remain in between this support and resistance line. Now this is an important weekly support level here, and we can see this is the weekly resistance line here. And if we look at the daily chart here on XAU/USD, we can see that from the daily, here is the price already from the daily has made a significant breakout, followed by we have seen that pullback last day of trading week, a narrow doji formation here, giving XAU/USD potentially to bounce again to the direction of the trend. Here we can see that there is an inverted head and shoulder formation. What I think that this week we might see the price potentially to create an inverted head and shoulder, any kind of reversal pattern to potentially move back up to the major direction of the trend. Now looking at 4-hour chart here, what we can see that from the intraday perspective here on XAU USD, that the market here is currently where we saw this is a bear market, and at the same time long-term trend is bullish. Last session we saw after this move a rejection from the top, maintaining the trend line, and what I think that this week we may see initial drop here to this important zone where there is an imbalance in the market, and what I think that the price may potentially to reject from that level, as this market currently in this local bullish market structure. Now if we look at the 1-hour chart here, where the price was moving in this channel, and after break of this channel here from the long-term picture on XAU USD, what we can see, the price has broken to the upside. From that zone, the price now currently dropping back down here to that liquidity zone. So therefore, any locally with the market open, what I think the price may initially break below, as there is a void here and it's a fully imbalance, and the price may reject from those level to the upside to the major direction of the trend, as daily trend is up. This could be the potential wave for the upcoming week on XAU USD. Now let's look at ENPR, starting with dollar yen, looking at monthly chart to see overall direction in this market. Now looking at monthly on dollar yen, we can see that previous months a long bearish candle on the monthly, and this is a monthly support level here on dollar yen, and we can see the price tested this support and initially has got bounced back to the upside. As it is a long-term bull market, what we can expect on dollar yen for the price to retest and then to potentially revert back again to the direction of the trend. Now if we look at the weekly chart here on dollar yen, we can see that from the weekly there was a big drop here on the weekly, followed by back-to-back 3 weeks pullback. Now if we compare this 3 weekly bearish candle along with the 3 weekly bull candle, we can see the market is in a pullback, expecting for the price to retest and then to revert back again in the major direction of the trend. Now if we look at the daily chart here on dollar yen, we can see that from the daily the price already has made its bullish move to the upside, and I think that this week we might see the price to retest and then to revert back again to the downside here to retest this level. Now from the intraday perspective, here is the price quite a few sessions strongly bullish, and we see that the price is getting a rejection from this resistance line, where we saw from the weekly back-to-back 3 weeks the market has made a pullback, expecting dollar yen to retest and then to return back again to the support level. This is where as soon as we will find suitable entry, we will be looking for going short with a high probability trade setup. Now let's look at GBP JPY. Let's see what kind of trading opportunity we have. Looking at monthly chart on GJ, we can see that from the monthly, previous monthly candle is a sharp rejection from the support level with a strong rejection, GJ giving a high probability for this price to potentially to remain bullish here. And as there was a sharp rejection cross quite a few months low, there has been a bullish pressure here, expecting GJ to break to the upside, and we might see potential break of this resistance line for long-term picture. If we look at the weekly chart here on GBP JPY, we can see that from the weekly, every week the market was forming series of higher low and approaching a significant level of resistance, expecting GBP JPY potentially to remain bullish to create a new higher high in this market. Now looking at daily chart here on GJ, we can see that from the daily, this is the daily price action where there was a breakup structure here, and with that breakup structure the market has dropped to that support level and from this support there is a sharp rejection to the upside, as the market has gained that momentum here on GJ, expecting for the price to potentially to remain bullish here. And I think that the price may continue to rise this week as well on GBP JPY. Therefore, as this is a currently uptrending market, any pullback can give us potential bullish entry opportunity in this market. So this could be the wave for this upcoming week on GBP JPY. Traders, if you enjoyed this education and weekly forex forecast, make sure you give a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't done yet. Thank you, and I'll see you soon in my next analysis.